Truly African.
On a humid day of 20th January 2022, a marksman truck transporting mining explosive on the road of Takwa Bogoso Ferry collided head-on with a motorcycle. 15 minutes later, an explosion which claimed the lives of 13 people and left 59 people injured and without home. And also, the National Disaster Management Organization has stated that 500 buildings were also affected by the explosion and leaving 380 without shelter. 100 road vehicles were also affected by the blast. This tragedy has raised questions on the safety measures when explosives are being transported on Ghana's busy road. We are at Osu Oxford Street in the Greater Accra region to sample the views of the public on this pertaining this particular situation. Good evening and welcome to the Couch with Aprt. My name is Naya Chidi.
Bogoso explosion, and I think it's really dangerous because a lot of people lost their lives, and then some are rendered homeless. So I think things like that should be really looked into, and then it shouldn't be repeated.
What do you think the government should do to assist these people?
To assist the people in Bogoso, they should. I think you have a NADMO or something like that that is responsible for when disaster or stuff like that happen. So they should at least provide accommodation for them, and then food stuff should be provided, and at least some kind of money to start with, because I think they lost a lot of stuff.
Are you aware of the safety precautions that is taken when an accident happens in a community or on the roadside or around us?
The safety precautions. Yes. I think when an accident happens, people should not run towards the place of the accident. Instead, stay far from it. That way, things can be managed well.
Thank you very much.
Is that all? All right.
Thank you. So one like what you fear. When they watch any video, I'm for crazy. Yeah. Say, and any first time, if yes, you Shiashi. A man for call was she. If yes, you Logos. It is a word at the Shia. The Ghana from Fowi at the Shia. So we say that to be a good to the kind of encore. So, Quaco, yeah. It won't find the Shia. Oh, but in a moment to my boss uncle for say, one what you fear, one washing the and it's about whether my abam from was uncle and one will call question the two calculate washing about more uncle, more he, and can I find Casacro much room. Say, Jimmy, I have nothing. So what I say, I asked you, yeah. Say accident to see never wash here. Miss a to go do that. So as I say, but you to me can call other say before fire service. One will 1 hour or Duma. You quite sure as a man who be that. So what I say, no matter who without Grandma Tibida, into me call. I'm quite sure. Yeah. You're welcome.
Yes, I have heard about the Bogoso explosion, and my take on it is that this is an advice or a caution to the government that before buildings are put in place or before buildings are built in areas, we are supposed to take in measures or go and check the area whether there is any chance of anything like this happening in the future. And I think the government can help by asking other NGOs to come and aid, or specifically people can go and ask them what they need, since they need funds and their houses are also destroyed now, and they don't have a place to stay. Okay, for safety precautions, first we have to check the site of where we get to stay. Like if you stay by the roadside, you have to check things you are supposed to put in place so that you won't be at risk of any accidents or anything. And people who live by the mines or by other places where explosives are used should really take care and really see to it that they are not affected.
Heard of the incident about the explosion, and I think it's very catastrophic in the sense that the whole town being damaged by one explosion is a very serious issue. I think our leaders need to do more when it comes to protecting those kind of explosives. There must be a police escort. From what I've gathered, it means that anytime such things are being exported from one place to another, there must be an escort. In this case, there has been no escort. If it should have been an escort, I don't think even there will be incident of accident causing the sparkle or whatever it is. So that's one of the things that going forward they should take into consideration. Yeah.
How aware are you of safety precaution when an accident occurs?
If I'm rating myself over 10, I'll give myself 4. The reason being that there are a lot of things that we don't know. Example, I drive. Okay, so if I'm on the road, there are a lot of things I should be expecting. So as a driver, I know that I should have my fire extinguisher, I must have my first aid box. But there are a lot of other things that we don't know as a citizen. The layman doesn't know that when explosives are on the way, you don't need to cross it, or there should be no cars just riding in front of them. It has to take time to educate all those people. The cars that we use on our roads, the trot, most of them are deteriorating. Most of them are rickety cars. These are cars that need to be looked at by the road and highway to see whether they are safe for human transportation. But we don't do that. So the education aspect of safetyness is a big problem in this country. Yeah, personally, that's what I think.
The natural disasters are bound to happen in any given space, in any given community. What should we blame somebody? I don't think so. I think that the most important question we should be asking is whether or not the right rules or the laid down procedure were followed. I've listened to the Ghana Police Service say that the company did not commit or did not break any laws. But at the same time, I'm hearing governments say that they're opening an investigation into the matter. I mean, if you ask me, the Ghana Police Service as a security service is telling us that they've not broken any laws. You are going to investigate. What exactly are we looking for? How best does government, or how should government go about this? Government, through, the Vice President made a handsome donation to the people. That's one. Number two, I think that every individual, every living thing should be taken out of that place. At least let's give them something or somewhere proper to restart life, because these are not easy things to deal with. The trauma alone, living in the same community and seeing the same spaces but not the same people, can be traumatic, especially to children. Now, we need to find a way to make sure that these children who've seen these things, who've heard these things, who've experienced these things, are not affected mentally. And that's, for me, the children are my utmost priority. I think that even with the adults, they've seen a lot of bad things, but with the children, how do they come out of this problem? Because once again, I'll give you another example. Hiroshima and Nagasaki, we all know what happened. So today people are affected. But if there's a conscious effort to take these children out of the traumatic life they've seen or the traumatic experience they've had, I think that we've got a good way to go. And I must commend government. The Vice President's visit was swift. Unlike what happened in Qatar, where the President and the Vice President, I don't want to use the word refused, but failed to utter a word or even show some level of attention or care, I think that this time around they did good. So I'll commend them for that. Yeah.
How about safety precautions in our country when an accident occurs?
Well, I think that safety precautions can do their best to make sure that people follow. But the bigger question, or the better question, is how prepared are we as drivers or as motorists, as riders, to follow safety precautions? Because the motor rider is here saying that he's not the cause of the accident, but everybody seems to heap the blame on him. But let's be honest, who should we blame? Are you getting me? Now, I don't know who answers this, but roadworthy, DVLA, were there safety signs on the road? Did the driver adhere to them? Because I feel that all these questions answer your question. All these things answer your question. If there were safety signs, did they adhere to them? If they didn't adhere to them, can you fault him? Yes, you can. So I think you ask a valid question, and it's an area that government could look into.
All right, thank you for talking to me.
Okay, so I think it was very bad and people got injured, and then I think they, how will I say, they need help from us, and then we need to do something about it. As Ghanaians, we have to support them in any way we can. Yes, I think.
About safety precaution, how aware are you when it comes to an accident, when it comes to safety precaution?
Okay, I'm not really, I don't know how to say, but I think we have to educate ourselves on that, because me, for instance, I don't really know anything about it. So I guess we should get people who are going to educate us, especially the illiterate. And yes, I think that's what I can say about this.
I've heard about it and I've seen images of it.
What do you think about the whole situation?
I mean, it's an unfortunate incident, and from how the eyewitness have narrated the thing, I think it's something that it could have been avoidable, but it's rather unfortunate on the side of the tricycle rider, who caused it. But subsequent news say that, according to him, it was not his fault. So I think they have to look into it, and then we will ascertain the whole truth. And then to the people that have lost their life, I mean, we condole with them and then their relative. And then I'm glad that they have a fund that, I mean, they are going to use to support the people.
These are the views sampled from the public pertaining Bogoso's explosion. The president of Ghana, Nana Akufo-Addo, has also shared his condolence through a tweet, and it reads, "I have received a briefing on the circumstances that led to an explosion in Aprt near Bogoso in the western region, resulting in the loss of lives and destruction of property belonging to residents. And I wished the injured a speedy recovery. The police, armed forces, and the National Disaster Management Organization, NADMO, are coordinating efforts to contain the situation. And I have also instructed NADMO to see to it that rapid relief is brought to the residents of the town. Government will spare no efforts to ensure a rapid return to a situation of normality for the residents of Appiate." We are heading straight to the NADMO's office to talk to the Communication Director, Mr. George A.C. Alright, so we are currently at the NADMO headquarters to speak to Mr. George A.C., who is the Communications Director for the organization. Hello, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for joining us this evening.
Oh, it's an honor to be with you.
All right, so moving on to our very first question. As a mouthpiece of the Disaster Management Agency, what are your initial thoughts on the explosion?
Yeah, well, when we had the explosion, we were a bit surprised because in the movement of hazardous materials, there are protocols that go with it. And so when we had that and the initial allusions that there was a motorbike that crashed into it, and my initial reaction was, where were the escorts? You get it. But then the later revelations that we are getting is giving other information. So yes, my initial reaction was surprising that such an accident could occur as far as the transportation of hazardous materials like the nitrates, whatever is concerned, or those explosives were concerned. All right, so what are the relief package that have been deployed to the victims of the explosion? Yeah, thank you. Initially, when an accident occurs, what we do is to go there as a disaster management organization to go and see how many lives we can save, as many lives as possible that we can save by embarking on a search and rescue mission. And so we deploy our men there immediately to see if, you know, some lives can be saved, okay? People may be trapped and others, and then you rescue them. When we finish, then we do assessment. It is based on the assessment that we'll know the kind of relief items to send to the people. But having said that, our response was quick. In fact, people have said that the response was so quick, and you know, it's because the whole nation also followed and are supporting. NADMO has deployed some relief items immediately. You know, we sent like 300 bags of rice. We sent about 300 mattresses, 50 bales of second-hand clothing, you know, blankets, about 300 pieces. We sent cooking oil, 100 cartons, soap, 100 cartons, mosquito nets, you know, 300 pieces, and all that, you know, in the immediacy. And now we've reorganized and a team is going back. And we are also the coordinating agency, so we need to get other individuals and organizations to come and support. And the response is fantastic. People are showing interest in supporting the people, especially the victims of the explosion.
All right, that's great. So what goes into the determining of the relief package or items?
Yeah, it depends on the kind of people, you know. If I go into my data again, I'll tell you that we have a certain number of adult males, adult females, and then male children, female children. Those determine the kind of relief package you need to send to them. And so, yes, that's why we do the assessment, and then we know the people affected and how to assist them. And so these are the things that go into the determination of what kind of relief items to send.
Well, in instances like this, how fast is the process?
Yes, it's as quick as possible, because, yes, once the incident occurs, our men, you know, we are all over the place across the country. Every district, we have NADMO office there, and then we have sub-offices or offices, zonal offices and co. So in every district, we have our men there. When such incidents occur, they move in fast, and if they cannot handle the situation, then, you know, regional officers are brought in. What happened at Aprt assumed a national magnitude, and so headquarters had to also deploy a team there to go and help at the Western Regional Office. So that is as quick as possible. When it happens, we are there, and we do the assessment before. So immediately, some people think NADMO and incidents is synonymous with relief. No. We need to do the assessment and know what kind of relief and needs that they will help them. That is what we do. And so immediately there's a disaster, NADMO is there. Okay, we go there, and then we send the relief as quick as possible. This one, I think it was less than 24 hours, our relief packages were there.
All right, my last question is going to make you laugh a little bit. We've heard that NADMO, it's broke. There's no money. How true is that?
I will not say NADMO is broke, because after all, we submit our budget, and then government releases funds as and when, you know, so we can do our work. Sometimes when the disaster occurs, you know, maybe at that time the kind of relief items you need to take to support the people may not be enough at your warehouse. You get it. In that case, you may face challenges. When I mentioned the figures, 300 bags of rice, yes, at the initial outset, it doesn't look too good, especially when you look at the numbers that are about 957 people affected. But at the initial stage, it's good to keep them. Then, you know, we do the coordination to get other agencies to come in and individuals. As we speak, you know, people have sent 5,000 bags, you know, 1,000, 2,000. It's all to help support them. You get it. And so we have a budget that we run. Sometimes, as of the time the incident occurs, our readiness may not match what is needed, and so we need to go back to government to release some of our budget requisitions. You get it. And so we are not broke, but sometimes there are difficulties. Every organization wish they got the full package of their budget proposal, okay, and same with NADMO. But our situation is when the incident is there, yes, sometimes it's difficult, but government does well to release funds to support us.
All right, so we are not broke, but sometimes there is difficulties, and that's coming from Mr. George AC, who is the communication director for NADMO. Thank you so much, sir, for talking to us.
It's a pleasure to be with you.
All right, so for more in-depth analysis on the Bogoso explosion, we are in the Parliament House. We are in the office of the Honorable Member Rashid Pepo, who is the MP for West Central in the Upper West region. We are here to find his expert opinion on the issue. Good evening, sir.
And also the ranking member for Lands and Forestry, specifically responsible for that.
Okay, thank you so much, Honorable. But first of all, Honorable, what do you make of the Bogoso explosion?
Well, it was a big tragedy. It was a tragedy that we couldn't comprehend. You know, a situation where deaths occurred, huge destruction of property, and the trauma about it, you know, resounded throughout the country. And we all got awakened to a reality we didn't want to accept, you know. So it was a big thing.
Indeed, a big thing on the whole of Ghana. But as a country, do we have the regulation, the rules and regulations that control the activities of mining and transportation?
Yeah, there are rules and regulations, there are protocols in handling mine items, especially explosives, and there are ways and means by which transportation of them can be established for people to follow. Except that these things are sometimes violated. And in the situation that occurred, I suspect that not all the rules were obeyed. And so there are indeed some rules, you know.
Honorable, quickly, what are some of the rules? What are some of the regulations?
As spelled out by the minister in his remarks today, part of it is the fact that when you are transporting them, you don't travel beyond a certain speed, 60 kilometers per hour. You don't travel in the night with it, and etc., etc. And in offloading them, you have to offload them at the specific places where you are asked to offload. There must be close supervision and all that. So where you don't follow these rules and there's a slip, it can cause lives and destruction, like it just happened.
Yeah. Are there supervisions for these things?
Of course, there should be supervisions, because at every situation you have officers and junior officers, and the responsibility of the junior officers will be to do the right thing, and those of the senior officers will be to supervise them. Yeah.
But are we adhering to the regulations? Are we?
We means who?
The miners, the transporters.
Well, I don't know, because perhaps they are adhering, perhaps not. But what happened the other day shows that an accident can occur, and it just occurred. Yeah.
With Bogoso incidents, was the rules adhered to?
I don't know. I just told you that there are rules, and I don't know what happened. We all heard that a vehicle ran into another, and then it all happened. I don't know what other rules were there that were not adhered to.
What is the process to make sure that, because at a point there's supposed to be a police escort, what is the necessary process that is put in place to make sure that police escorts are with these people?
It is essential not just to have police, but to have experts who understand the items they are carrying, so that advice can be given as to where they are taken from and where they are going to be dislodged. And police instrumentality is necessary also because they may be stolen and used as dangerous weapons against others. So they need to be some police responsibility. Yeah.
All right, thank you, Honorable. But going forward, what would your recommendation be?
Well, my recommendation is that the rules about cutting these things must be spelled out very clearly, and drivers and handlers must be trained so they know that they are handling dangerous items, and that the road user, the driver who is driving the vehicles, must be given extra training, because they should know that these are not just ordinary equipment. They are explosives that can explode and kill people. Yeah, so this is what I recommend, that in this matter, some investigations have to be made comprehensively. The investigation should bring out the issues that result into the explosion. It should also take into consideration the destruction that is caused and what can be done to address those challenges, so that we can have an attempt by government to try to help those who are involved in it deeply, and to also make sure in future we can curb or eliminate these kinds of incidences that occur.
Thank you very much, Honorable, for talking to us.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. So we were talking to the Honorable Member for Wa Central in the Upper West region, and these are his views on the situation.
We took public views and sentiment and went straight to NADMO's office, where we spoke to Mr. George AC, who explains to us government involvement in assisting in times of need. We also proceeded to the Parliament House, where we spoke to Honorable Rashid Pepo, who is the Member of Parliament for Wa Central in the Upper West region, who also explained the issues involvement. Well, I would like to send my deepest condolence to the grieving family and the whole village as well, and those who are injured. And we hope this disaster would never happen again in our country. My name is Nayachidi. Thank you very much for watching The Couch with Aprt.
Unfortunate tragic incidents which took place at Aprt in the western region of our country. And indeed, what I've reported to the Parliament is that out of this incident, President Akufo-Addo himself has been coordinating government efforts and government intervention. And clearly from the evidence and from the interventions which have been made already, that emergency response and relief response is being swift and robust. The events took place on the 20th of this month, Thursday, and immediately the President was chairing a cabinet meeting, but he stepped out to begin the initial coordination of government effort. And as many of us have seen, relief items were sent almost immediately. The following day, the Vice President led a high-powered government delegation made up of the Ministers of Lands and Natural Resources, Interior, and Information to commensurate with the victims and the people of Aprt. Thereafter, we have taken some very far-reaching steps by suspending the operations of Maxam Company Limited, which is the company at the center of the manufacture of these explosives, as well as Jesidek Ghana Limited, which is the company which was responsible for the transportation of the explosives. We have also interdicted the Chief Inspector of Mines so that investigations which are being conducted will be credible and will be done in accordance with the highest standards of integrity. So, ladies and gentlemen of the press, what I want to say to you is that government is fully on top of this matter. Government is fully on top of this situation, and the President has made a commitment, and the commitment is that government is going to mobilize all the resources to support the victims and, more importantly, to reconstruct the Aprt community and build a modern community for the people of Aprt. And indeed, today, on the instructions of President Akufo-Addo, I inaugurated a 5-member committee to oversee the Aprt Support Fund. We've launched the Aprt Support Fund, which is a fund where we are going to call on Ghanaians, residents of Ghana, and friends of Ghana to contribute to this fund for us to be able to raise the necessary funding to rebuild the community for the people of Aprt. The committee is chaired by Reverend Dr. Joyce Ayi, whom we all know is a renowned, distinguished stateswoman of our country, with 4 other distinguished citizens of our country. And it's our hope and belief that this committee will work together to be able to raise the necessary funding for us to be able to reconstruct Aprt. Finally, I should say that when these matters happen, there is also the need for the broader interrogation, the broader examination, so that we can learn the useful lessons out of the industry, the larger picture. What are the loopholes? Where do we have to tighten? The legal regime, is it sufficient? The policy regime, is it sufficient? And God willing, next week, we're going to inaugurate a ministerial committee of technocrats who are going to conduct an inquiry, not just an inquiry into this incident, but an inquiry into the whole gamut of health and safety of mining in Ghana, and not just explosives, everything to do with health and safety of mining, so that out of that we can have recommendations which will be implemented and to make our country a safe and healthy destination for mining. So I thank you very much, and we commend the President and his government for this swift and robust action and coming on top of this particular situation. I take two questions. You. Government, and for that matter yourself, you've been commended for the swift nature of the decision.
Aprt say. Hey. Hey. I say we what you wave. Hey. What I say we do wave. What are you done in your say? Just hey. 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 Me, me go kweye, me ma me hu ba kokra. Me hu ba kokra. Somo. Kuna say. Asaka kwano. When he not say serious. Hey. Ha. Hey. You can't sing to her. Minimum. Wow. Ha. I'm the kind of what it's after. Kano, it is a harness. You don't blast it now. Serious. That's a massive disaster. Hey. Serious. I get where you know. My friend is going to go to where you Hi. Serious, this. Hey. What's that? What's that? Serious. Hey, serious.
Sector Minister respectfully will now call on you to deliver your statement and launch the fund. The Honorable Samuel A. Jinapo. Chair, please give it up to you.
The Honorable Western Regional Minister, Deputy Ministers for Lands and Natural Resources, my Lord, our revered man of God, Nana, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. As we are all very much aware, on Thursday, January 20th, 2022, a tragic event befell our nation. A truck carrying explosives from the site of Maxam Ghana Limited to Chirano Gold Mines Limited was unfortunately involved in a very horrific incident, leading to an explosion which caused severe damage to the people of Aprt community, which resulted in the loss of some 13 lives. Ghanaians have always been known to be hospitable and compassionate, and we cannot ignore our own people who fell victim of this unfortunate incident. Ladies and gentlemen, on the instructions of the President of the Republic, His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources has decided to launch, quote, the Aprt Support Fund, end quote, to raise funds from the general public to, among others, support the victims of this unfortunate incident and to reconstruct the community which was brought down by the explosion. Ladies and gentlemen, to ensure fair, transparent, and judicious use of the fund, government has decided to appoint a 5-member committee to manage the fund. The committee will be chaired by Reverend Dr. Joyce Ayi, a distinguished and eminent stateswoman who is the founder of the Salt and Light Ministries and who has previously served as Minister for Information, Minister for Education, Minister for Local Government, and Chief Executive Officer of the Ghana Chamber of Mines, and who, as a result of her exemplary service to our motherland, was awarded a Companion of the Order of the Volta in 2006 by the then President of the Republic, His Excellency John Agyekum Kufuor. A woman of enormous integrity, this is the woman government has settled on to chair this important committee. Thank you, Madam, for accepting this other onerous national assignment. Ladies and gentlemen, the 4 other members of the committee are Tetrete Okuamua Sechi II, Omanhene of Wasa Amenfi Traditional Area, a renowned traditional ruler and chairman of the Forestry Commission. Mr. Philip Owuredu, a certified chartered accountant, managing director of Calbank, and formerly of the renowned accounting firm KPMG, is a member. Dr. Antoinette Chibudako, a senior lecturer at the University of Ghana and research fellow at the Center for Social Policy Studies, an expert in natural resource management and development in communities endowed with natural resources, is a member. The Chief Executive Officer of the Ghana Chamber of Mines, my very good friend, Mr. Suleiman Akoni, who hopefully will be the biggest donor to the fund, is also a member. Ladies and gentlemen, these are renowned persons without a shred of doubt in their various fields who have been brought together by government to manage this fund. Their terms of reference are: 1, to raise sufficient funds for the Aprt Support Fund, and 2, to supervise the disbursement of the fund in accordance with the highest standards of integrity and transparency for the sole benefit of the people of Aprt. I am confident that given the caliber of the citizens assembled, they will execute this task in a fair, transparent, and prudent manner. I passionately and respectfully call on all Ghanaians and residents of Ghana and friends of Ghana, companies, civil society organizations, and all and sundry to generously contribute to this noble endeavor. The Holy Book in Psalm 41, verse 1, tells us, and I quote, "Blessed are those who support the weak. The Lord delivers them in times of trouble," end quote. To the people of Aprt, I say to them, a compassionate nation and government stands by you, shoulder to shoulder, in your time of great need and adversity. For above all, we are one nation with a common destiny. On this note, it is my singular privilege and honor, on behalf of the President of the Republic, His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, to launch the Aprt Support Fund. I thank you for your attention.
And on behalf of the 5-member committee, I would first like to thank His Excellency the President, Nana Akufo-Addo, for considering us useful to undertake this very onerous task. We feel very privileged to be called to serve the nation at this very crucial time of its need. Each of us comes with some level of expertise, and together our prayer is that God would bind us together and give us a singular mind to undertake this task. It is onerous, but nothing is impossible for God. And so on behalf of my colleagues, I say we accept this honor, we accept this privilege, and we ask for your support, especially members of the media. We ask for your support. I'm glad that my presiding bishop is here. We also ask for prayer support. And we ask that the reasons why this fund has been set up would be fully realized. And the people of Aprt will know that we live in a nation that is compassionate, under a government that cares deeply for every single person in this nation. And I know that within a short time, we will see great things happening. We want to thank you very much. On behalf of my members, we thank you very much for this privilege.